Hello everyone, we are to discuss what is all about correctional institutions. First, what is corrections? Corrections is the systematic and organized efforts directed by a society that attempt to punish offenders, protect the public from offenders, change offenders' behavior, and in some cases compensate victims. In the Philippines, correction stands as the fourth pillar of the criminal justice system, and it is known as the pillar of reformation. What then is correctional institutions? The correctional institutions are the ones entrusted to take care of the treatment and rehabilitation programs for all convicted criminals and delinquents for ultimate reintegration in the community. It has been viewed as the weakest pillar because of the assumption that correctional institutions cannot rehabilitate offenders. This had been shown through the increasing criminal activities and recidivism. What is penology? Penology is the study of punishment for crime or of criminal offenders. It includes the study of control and prevention of crime through punishment of criminal offenders. It is derived from the Latin word poena, meaning pain or suffering, and from the Greek word poin, which means penalty. Penology is also called penal science. There are three schools of penology. First is the classical school, which maintained the doctrine of psychological hedonism that the individual calculates pleasures and pains in advance of action and regulates his conduct by the result of his calculations. Next is the neoclassical school, which maintained that while the classical doctrine is correct in general, it should be modified in certain details, since children and lunatics cannot calculate pleasures and pains, they should not be regarded as criminals or be punished. And lastly is the positive or the Italian school. It denied the individual responsibility and reflected an essentially non-punitive reaction to crime and criminality, since the criminal was held to be not responsible for his acts, must not be punished. The adherents of this school maintain that a crime, as any other act, is a natural phenomenon. What is punishment? Punishment is defined as the redress that the state takes against an offending member of a society that involves pain and suffering. It also refers to the penalty imposed on an offender for a crime or wrongdoing. We have 6 justifications in imposing punishment. First, we have retribution or just desert. This justifies the act of punishing offenders as deserved punishment for evil done, or it is also called the eye for an eye type of justice. Next, we have the deterrence. This is a justification of punishment based on the belief that the pain caused by punishments will deter or prevent future criminal actions by the individual or others. We have 2 types. These are the specific and general deterrence. The specific deterrence occurs when offenders do not recidivate because they do not want to face further sanctions. And the general deterrence occurs when other potential offenders do not engage in criminal activity because they want to avoid penalties that others have received. Third is incapacitation. This is the any strategy or attempt of the society to render a criminal incapable of doing further illegal acts. The primary means of incapacitating offenders is through incarceration or imprisonment. Number 4, we have the rehabilitation. Rehabilitation focuses on the treatment of offenders' problems to prevent future offenses. Number 5 is restorative justice. It is a new criminal justice framework that further emphasizes active participation among the victim, offender, and community in repairing the harm caused to the victim in the community as a whole. And lastly, we have the reintegration, and this is an approach that emphasizes community-based residential and non-residential alternatives to incarceration.
Continue to the Bureau of Corrections and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. The Bureau of Corrections and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology are the frontliners when it comes to the safekeeping and rehabilitation of offenders. And the correction as a component of the criminal justice system has various functions to perform, such as maintaining correctional institutions, wherein the correctional component is responsible for maintaining prisons, jails, halfway houses, and other institutional facilities to receive convicted offenders sentenced to a period of incarceration by the court. And the second is to protect law-abiding citizens, wherein corrections are responsible for providing custody and security in order to keep sentenced offenders from preying on other members of society through the further commission of crime. And the third, to reform offenders, where the corrections are given the function of developing and providing services to assist incarcerated offenders to reform. And lastly, to deter crimes, wherein the corrections are responsible for encouraging incarcerated and potential offenders to lead a law-abiding lives through the experience of prison and denial of liberty. Next, the Bureau of Corrections, wherein the mandate of the Bureau of Correction is the principal task of the Bureau of Correction is the rehabilitation of national prisoners. So let's move to the classification of prisoners according to degree of custody or security risk. First is super security prisoners. So this is a special group of prisoners composed of incorrigibles, intractable, and dangerous persons who are so difficult to manage that they are the source of constant disturbance even in a maximum security institution. Second, the maximum security prisoners. This group includes the highly dangerous or high security risk inmates as determined by the classification board who require a high degree of control and supervision. And the third, the medium security prisoner. This classification includes those who cannot be trusted in less secured areas and those whose conduct or behavior required minimum supervision. And fourth, minimum security prisoners. This includes those who can be reasonably trusted to serve their sentences under less restricted conditions. And to the classification of inmates as to entitlement to privilege. First is the detainee, and second, the third class inmate, which this one who has either been previously committed for 3 or more times as sentenced inmate, except those imprisoned for non-payment or fine and those who had been reduced from a higher class. The third, second class inmate, a newly arrived inmate, an inmate demoted from first class or promoted from the third class. And the fourth, the first class inmate, one whose known character and credit for work while in detention earned assignment to this class upon commencement of sentence, or one who has been promoted from the second class. And the fifth is the colonist, which be at least a first-class inmate who has served 1 year immediately preceding the completion of the period specified in the following qualifications and has served imprisonment with good conduct for a period equivalent to 1/5 of the maximum term of his prison sentence or 7 years in the case of life sentence. And to the level of security facility. First is super maximum security facility. The Alcatraz is the best example of a super maximum security facility. However, the operation cost of such facility is very expensive. Hence, Alcatraz was abandoned nowadays. SMSF are situated inside the maximum security facility, which is more economical. And Second, maximum security facility. This is usually enclosed by a thick wall about 18 to 25 feet high. On top are catwalk in every corner and a tower post manned by heavily armed guards. Third, medium security facility. This is usually enclosed by a two-layer wire fences. The inner fence is 12 to 14 feet high with top guard. The outer fence is 12 to 8 to 12 feet high. Distance between the two fences is from 18 to 20 feet. In the fourth, minimum security facility, the fencing is, if there is such, is intended not for the prisoners but for the civilians to deter them from entering the premises. Coverage of the Bureau of Correction. First is National Bilibid Prison. It is located at Muntinlupa, Rizal. This includes the new Bilibid prison and its two satellites, which are the Camp Bukang Liwayway and Camp Sampaguita. The Camp Bukang Liwayway houses minimum security prisoners who work in the various projects of the institutions, and the Camp Sampaguita houses the medium security prisoner. And second is the Reception and Diagnostic Center, or the RDC. It is located in the Camp Sampaguita, and it is the office where newly arrived prisoners are processed and evaluated. The newly arrived prisoners are required to stay at the RDC for 60 days to undergo diagnostic examination, such as staff interview, examination, documentation, and initial classification. Third is the Correctional Institution for Women. It is located in the Mandaluyong City through Act number 3579, and it occupies an 18-hectare piece of land. It in-houses female prisoners and conducts vocational courses in dressmaking, beauty culture, handicraft, cloth weaving, and slipper making. This is classified as medium security prison. This is the only penal institution for women in the Philippines. And the first director of Correctional Institution for Women is Ramon Victoria. And the next is the penal colonies. These penal colonies are classified as the medium security prison headed by penal superintendent. First is San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm is situated in San Ramon, Zamboanga del Sur. It was founded by Governor Ramon Blanco in April 10, 1866 through the Royal Decree. It was established to house the Muslim rebels and prisoners opposing the Spanish leadership. And it also raises rice, corn, coffee, cattle, and livestock. It is a combination of maximum, medium, and minimum custody types of institution. This penal farm was designed for agro-industrial activities. Second is the Ihawig Penal Colony and Farm. It is one of the most popular prisons in the Philippines, and it was established in 1902 by the United States. It is located at Barangay Iwahig, Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and is 30-minute ride from the province capital. Its principal products include rice, corn, copra, logs, minor forest products, and cattle. It is a minimum custody. And third is the Davao Penal Colony and Farm. It is the first and one of the oldest and most recognized penal colonies in the Philippines, and it is located in Santo Tomas, Davao del Norte. The penal colony is sprawled at the vast Tadeco banana plantation. It raises abaca, which is the biggest plantation in the whole country, which is the main source of income of the Bureau of Correction. Banana is also its major product. It houses medium and minimum custody type of prisoners. It has 3 subcolonies, the Panabu, Kapalong, and Nafco. And the fourth is the Sablayan Penal Colony and Farm. It was established on September 26, 1954. It is located in San Jose, Occidental Mindoro, occupying 16,408.5 hectares, and rice is the main product of this colony. It is an open or minimum security type of institution. It has 4 subcolonies, the Central Sablayan, Pusog, Pusugoy, and Yapang. In the fifth is the Leyte Regional Prison. It was established on January 16, 1973 during the martial law period with the aim of regionalizing prisons throughout the country. It was located in Aboyog, Leyte, and note that the oldest prison in the Philippines is the Fort Santiago in Manila. And the sixth is the Iloilo Penal Colony and Farm. It is located in Iloilo Province.
So we may now move on the second division of institutional correction, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or the BJMP. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or BJMP, is a public office established under Republic Act 6975, otherwise known as the Department of Interior and Local Government, DILG, of 1991, pursuant to the Constitution. So the Jail Bureau shall exercise the supervision and control over all city and municipal jails. The provincial jails shall be supervised and controlled by the provincial government within its jurisdiction. The major programs of BGMP under its mandate are: first, Inmates Custody, Security and Control Program. Second, Inmates Welfare and Development Program. Third is the Congestion Program. And fourth is the Good Governance. So we may now move on the classification of inmates. So let me define with you what is classification. Classification refers to assigning or grouping of inmates according to their sentence, gender, age, nationality, health, criminal records, or etc. The classification of inmates have 3 classifications. So first one is the sentenced prisoners, and it has 4 divisions. So what is sentenced prisoner? Sentenced prisoners are persons who are convicted by final judgment of crime charged against them. And the fourth, under sentenced prisoners, it has 4 classifications. First one is the insular prisoners. Insular prisoner is one who is sentenced to a prison term of 3 years and 1 day to death. 3 years and 1 day to death. B. Provincial prisoners is one who is sentenced to prison term of 6 months and 1 day to 3 years. 6 months and 1 day to 3 years. Third one is the city prisoner, refers to a person who is sentenced to a prison term of 1 day to 3 years. 1 day to 3 years. And the fourth one is the municipal prisoner, is one who is sentenced to a prison term of 1 day to 6 months. 1 day to 6 months. The second classification of inmates is the detention prisoners. Detention prisoners are persons who are detained for the violation of law, ordinance, and has not yet been convicted. And the third one is the persons held for investigation and safekeeping. Note, safekeeping is the temporary custody of a person or the detention of a person for his own protection or care, or to secure from liability to harm, injury, or danger. So these are the classification of inmates. Next topic is the forms of correctional treatment or rehabilitation programs. So what is rehabilitation? Reformation or rehabilitation of offenders signifies the process of correcting the criminal behavior in order to restore the sound mind of such offenders and re-establish their good reputation. To correct the wrongdoings of criminal offenders requires them to undergo several treatment programs while under the custody of the jails and prisons. These rehabilitation programs are varied since the ultimate goal is to bring holistic development among convicted offenders. Thus, the treatment programs include activities which attempt to develop the morals or spiritual, intellectual, social, and psychological aspects of the PDLs. Here are the reformation programs, which has 6 divisions. First one is the moral and spiritual. For moral and spiritual, inmates enjoy freedom of religion. All inmates are free to observe the rituals of their faith with orderly conduct supervised by prison authorities. The purpose of this program is to change the attitudes of inmates while inculcating religious values or belief. It is believed that religion plays an important role in a person's life. So that is the moral and spiritual reformation program. Second one is the education and training program, which it has 3 program, or the first one is the general academic education, second one is the vocational education, and the physical education. So rehabilitation can be facilitated by improving an inmate's academic and job skills. In fact, education is considered as the cornerstone of rehabilitation. The classes of prison education is the first one is the general and academic education, the objective of which is to eradicate illiteracy among prisoners. This could be the best contribution of correctional system can offer to society. Second one is the vocational education, the purpose of which is to provide prisoners necessary knowledge and skills for successful works in a socially acceptable occupation after the release. And for physical education, it is designed for those who have physical disabilities. And that is the education and training program. Third one is the work and livelihood program, which it has also 2 subdivisions: the educational assignments and maintenance assignments. It has 4 sub-classifications: the educational assignments, maintenance assignments, agricultural and industrial assignments, or the unassignable. So, the Bureau offers a variety of inmate work programs from agricultural to industrial. The purpose of the inmate work program is to keep the inmates busy and to provide them money for their personal expenses and their families, as well as help them acquire livelihood skills in order that they may become productive citizens once they are released and assimilated back into the mainstream of society. So for educational assignments, prisoners may be assigned either general education, vocational, or physical education. For maintenance assignments, the assignment involved labor related to care and upkeeping of the institution properties. And for agricultural and industrial is the assignment involving labor related also to agricultural and industrial assignments. And for unassignable, prisoners who are nearly to leave to institution awaiting transfer, those in disciplinary status, and those who are chronically ill with mental disabilities. Prisoners over 60 years of age may be excused from hard work. Those are unassignable. Fourth classification for rehabilitation program is the sports and recreation program. The recreational program is the only program that is conducted during free time schedule. Activities may include athletics or sports, musical and arts, social games, special activities on special events, etc. All prison and penal farms have adequate recreational facilities for inmates, both for outdoor and indoor sports. Many bodybuilding gyms are available in most prison facilities, including the Muntinlupa Juvenile Training Center and the Therapeutic Community Center for inmates with drug cases. For music lovers and musically inclined inmates, numerous video centers are available. Musical instruments are available for practice or for use in variety shows. And that is for the sports and recreational program. The principal medical care of inmates is provided through a 500-bed capacity hospital at the New Bilibid prisons and at 6 other municipal hospitals or clinics in the 6 other prison and penal farms. All correctional facilities have a full and competent staff of medical practitioners in charge of clinics, infirmaries, and hospitals. These centers are capable of minor surgical operations, laboratory examinations, radiology, psychiatric rehabilitation, and dental treatment. So that is for the health and welfare program. So lastly is the behavior and medication modification program. The therapeutic community program represents an effective, highly structured environment with defined boundaries, both moral and ethical. The primary goal is to foster personal growth. This is accomplished by reshaping an individual's behavior and attitudes through the inmates community, working together to help themselves and each other, restoring self-confidence and preparing them for their reintegration into their families and friends as productive members of the community. The TC approach has been continuously proven worldwide as an effective treatment and rehabilitation modality among drug dependents and has been noted to be effective in many prisons. By immersing a drug offender in the TC environment, he learns why he had developed his destructive habits, which led him to this substance abuse. The program modifies negative behavior and or attitudes while restoring self-confidence and prepare inmates for the reintegration and to their families and friends as productive members of the community. And that is why TC is very important for the mostly drug abusers or drug dependents. That is the 6 rehabilitation programs that were given to the inmates or prisoners. That will be all, and thank you.